Thank you very much for coming. Today's session it's already been divided into two different sessions. The first one, I'll be introducing a file management tracking system that we now have access to by SAE. The second half of the session, Michael and Rafi are going to do active learning stuff. It's going to tick a lot of boxes and make certain people happy. So initially I wanted to put together a session for my own team and talk about Shotgun, but I thought to myself, it's a really powerful application. Why not we make a brief half-an-hour presentation. I'm not going to teach you that. It's not a tutorial class. It's just me introducing the tool and its capabilities. And every single computer now is, Shotgun has already been installed on every single computer, so yes, Mac as well. So it's a hybrid cross-platform type of application. All you need to do, you need to make sure that Fadi has got that in the image. He needs to kind of push that through, if that's the right term, and then you're all sorted. Now, I was first introduced to the software around 2004. I was paying a friend a visit back at Animal Logic. They were doing Happy Feet 1. They were working with a studio in London and another studio in Sydney called Dr. D. And that was the first time I heard about Shotgun. And they were saying that the entire production, tracking, managing, updating clients, so on and so forth, is done through Shotgun. So that was the first time I heard about this, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. We're talking thousands of shots, different studios communicating, different disciplines, different departments communicating, and it's all through one single application. I thought maybe it's their proprietary software. I didn't really take it seriously. A few years after, I did a quick, small project for Plastic Wax, a leading game company. They do games, but they do also cinematic for games, and they need animators to do animation, modeling, so on and so forth for them. And the name came up again. So I thought to myself, oh, I thought it's just Animalogic using it, and now a games company using it too. So it got me interested. I sat down with the guy, and he showed me a few things about the software. It was quite interesting. Again, I didn't know about the capabilities until I started working at SYD University around 2008. And surprisingly enough, I think it was education department or something like that, I can't remember. They were using this for scheduling, just for scheduling, not for updating the clients, not for updating shots, not for tracking schedule. It was just for planning and scheduling. So that was the moment that the penny dropped, basically. I was like, okay, so this is something that you can use. We can basically take a chunk, use it however you want. You don't need to master it. You don't need to know the entire software because it's massive. But when I worked at AIE, they were using this predominantly to update shots. Students were using this, and I had to use it for quite a number of years. And only then I realized what I was missing throughout the years. Very successful, very user-friendly. Students could easily use it. You as a manager can actually limit the access or give access to individual clients or whoever is participating in that project. So it's very, very flexible. Then I came back to SAE, brought up the fact that we kind of need a solid management software, and the problem was Shotgun's extremely expensive. Now, lucky us, Autodesk bought Shotgun last year, and we do use Autodesk products predominantly. So all of a sudden, from zero license to have it on every single computer was a hallelujah moment. So Animation Program Committee made it a mission to make it available, and from this trimester, actually, it is available to all of us. Now, it's not for me to sell this to you. You may look at it and say, I'm better off with Trello, or I may use Slack. I don't need it. But if you think there's a use for it, you may find a use for it, then by all means use it. It's an invitation-based type of system. Now I have access, I can invite you, and then I can invite the lead of the departments, and DCs then invite their staff. Yes?
Sorry, I just want to throw in, 2 years ago, a special effects guy asked me if I could find someone to do visual effects for him on one job. Told him what software you guys use in animation. He said, you use Shotgun. I said, I've never heard of Shotgun. He said, you guys don't use Shotgun? It's the #1 management program. And he stopped looking. So
yeah.
UDS uses it as well.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that not only makes our job easier to track projects, it's like gold for students. Let's start with the software. And again, it's an introduction for me just to explain its capabilities. We get to the clients who is using it actually. So it's a project management solution, connects studios, teams, and workflows, tracks every step of production, and it's a hybrid desktop web-based application. So if you don't have it installed, at any point of time, you can log in. Username, password is exactly the same, functionality is exactly the same, and you just use that. You don't need to have the application installed. It is fantastic for studios and especially for major projects. You can have it basically every single move you make, you can keep record, you can have multiple versions, go back and forth. And that's why when the project is basically, they get broken into smaller chunks in a real, like a Hollywood movie into 15 studios, that's how they stay in touch, using a solid management software that they can rely on. Now, if I were to flick through the name of the companies that they're using, there's some really big names coming up. Now you can just think about the fact we've got MPC, Animal Logic, Sony Pictures, Ubisoft, Weta Digital, and Double Negative. So you just throw in an ILM in the mix, and there we have like the 5 top VFX companies in the world using Shotgun as their main software. And you may think, all right, so this must be something really complex that it takes time for us to master. Again, yes, it is in fact a massive software, but what you may take out of that is a very small chunk. I just want to keep track of the projects. That's all I want to do. And it's again very clear for you to get to the point that you want without knowing 90% of Shotgun. I personally don't know many things about Shotgun. But again, I kind of made it my mission to sit down and go through videos and its booklet, which I'm going to share with you, along with so many things that is available online, webinars, forums, so on and so forth, to get better at this so I can offer it to students. It just makes us look good. And students don't need to spend time learning this at a real job. They already know that. As a matter of fact, I had a student at AIE who was really good at organizing or project management. And she got really good at Shotgun and secured a role in Flying Barks, a studio, as assistant producer. So it can actually create job for students as well if students know the software. Now, without getting into too much details, you may ask yourself, how do I know that this software is the right one for me? How do I know that we don't even need this software? Now, I try to think about questions that you can, think to yourself and answer, see if you may find a need for it. What sort of pipeline you're using? There must be an order to things that you do or conduct in a classroom, with film, games, and animation, there's a bit of an overlap. So we do have an order of things. The way that is it asset driven? Do you need to have assets that fits into a shot, or is it just a shot that goes up to a client, producer, or director, and they may say yay or nay, put a feedback, send it back to the artists. So that is quite important. Any repetition in dailies, if you have a ritual, if you have Scrum dailies, especially in studios, we do practice that. So if it can be automated, a lot of it can be like a Photoshop action list when you just click on it and it goes through everything and feeds you with information, Gantt chart, what's missing, so on and so forth. Planning components. What do you need to get the project started? How much do we know about the timeline? We do know about the timeline. It's 13 weeks. It makes it a lot easier for us to have the start date, end date. The great thing about, and I will show you this, the great thing about the timeline is it comes with milestones and projects automatically, which is very similar to what we use in Campus Online. So you can actually copy and paste Campus Online in here, and you get the entire time frame of the projects with all the due dates, deadlines, who's doing what allocations. How does the data get collected? So some use just images on Trello, some use Google Sheets. And the good thing about this, it reads Google Sheets too. So you can actually attach a Google Sheet, it reads the Google Sheet and converts it to a page for you, exactly the same information you have into the Google Sheet, and you just take it from there. It's as simple as importing, exporting, and it just works. And clients' expectations, of course. Sometimes you say, it's not really that important. We have a line, or we have just this tiny project. We get away with Google Drive. We don't need this. It's a bit of an overkill. I totally understand that. For animation, at least I can say that it's going to be a huge, huge time saver. Now, I thought it would be a good idea to put it in a visual, basically, slide and show you how it simplifies things. Now, this is a typical sequence-based effects pipeline. So you have the project, and again, you have series of shots. Now, in this series of shots, because it's a shot-based project, series of shots can be organized into sequences. And for each sequence, we have assets that go into shots, and for each shot, we get number of tasks. For assets and for shots, we get number of tasks. Now, those tasks can be allocated to different people, and per allocation comes times. So if you have a task, you should have a dedicated. So what we usually do, we end up having a Trello page to infinity. Like you scroll for half an hour to get to the end of the page, and there's tabs after tabs after cards after tabs, and all it takes for one person to just remove one tab, and then holy crap, what just happened? We just know who deleted that tab. There's no way to go back and forth. There's no way to say, all right, person A just is going to do this task with this allocation. He or she probably doesn't need to know about the big picture, and maybe that person needs to know about that. So we grant access, we limit access, and the flow is going to be intact. So the way that Shotgun sees it is, all right, I'm going to give you one page for sequence, one page to go in and out of shots. You have assets, and you get a list, and within each list, we give you a deadline and a task. Now, if you want to expand those individually, you can, but it simplifies the pipeline. So there is no clutter. You just have a look at shots, and you go, all right, those assets go into that shots, and this person is going to do it. You're just going to share this with that person. That person gets the job done. As a client, you get a notification, moving on. Same thing happens to other people as well. So this is one example that we have. It's more related to film, probably, but you have shot code sequence status, in progress, cut out, duration project. You may store your data like that, and you're like, oh, holy crap, now I have to enter all of this into here. It's actually a matter of importing this to there, and that's what you're getting in a single click. and it stores data. That's the shotgun user interface. Now, any questions so far before I get into some? So I pre-recorded those, so slow internet is not going to slow us down. I've got only half an hour. Hopefully it's clear enough, but I apologize if it's a little bit too fast. I'm trying to really squeeze a lot of information in there. This is animation accreditation that we are using. You can see the status, 0, great, we're doing great in animation department. Status date, due date, assigned to reviewer. So, for example, a DC in Melbourne has been assigned to do benchmark mapping, and you see the progress here, due date here, and you make your change, you have to save it. So you can revert if you make a mistake, or you can save as a different version and carry on. Now, the invitation system, or how you invite people, is very easy. You go to your People tab, and then it brings whoever you've invited, or whoever is active in that particular project, with their login name and password and the project that they're working on, and you give them permission. Admin, it gets the highest level of authority. Usually DCs have that, then teachers will get the manager, and student project manager is for students. So that hierarchy, and again, there is not much difference, it's just admin gets the sensitive information. Basically, they see everything, games accreditation, film accreditation, so on and so forth. And you can give them a homepage. So when they log in, that's what they see, their project, not someone else's project. So very, very straightforward. Now, this is the online interface that I often use. I use my own laptop, so I do online. You can actually create a project by going to Projects, and then go create a new project. Now, that's what makes it really powerful. You've got some really, really good templates. A generic template for games, template for TV series, template for film. You put in the name that you want, the layout, you don't need to change it. Users, you add whoever you want to assign the project, you just add those here. You can actually add a description. Now this is your brand new page. You bring in some images, drag and drop. Now let's say I want to have some videos in, right? That's one way of bringing information. This is a film-based type of layout. All you need to do is to drag and drop your footage. Now here's what gets really interesting. You add description as well. Now this is real time, and the footage that you just saw was HD. See how quick that is to bring like 10 videos in one go. Now let's say you want to review this. You just click on it. So everything, there's nothing tricky about this. You're like, all right, this is good. I'm just going to make some comment here for the producer, and whoever is assigned to that project will get the message. They're going to go to this page because the email is going to provide them with this link. The comment, for example, this is still in progress. We don't like this. Submit, revise, whatever you have in mind. So that's how it handles the video, and it creates the project. Any questions about that? Yes?
Was there an audio template?
You can actually import audio instead of video. So a variety range of extensions, you can just drag and drop, and it gets it, it plays it. It doesn't show anything, or it doesn't show the waveform, but you can actually hear.
You can use it. What I've seen, again, I've done very little research, probably 1/100 of what results. And we can't do, for example, in programming, we can't do programs like real, integration like Git or anything, version control. But project management is super awesome. It has got integration with Unity and Unreal. Like
yes, I'm about to get to that. Yes.
So that is I'm not sure whether they have Pro Tools configuration.
Now, time management. So here's the thing. There are two ways you can use this software to manage the time for your students, or to manage the asset. Now, if you think, for example, the asset may not be fully compatible to what you want, you can assign the timing of your project and use that part of Shotgun to handle the project. So instead of using Slack and Trello and Discord and all sorts of things, it's one-stop shop. It handles the timing of the project. That's it. Asset can be handled differently, but it is capable of handling all the assets, files, so on and so on. So time management, it's pretty cool, actually. Very, very easy. You go and make the status of the project active, and you go and say, there are a lot of plugins that you can just single click and it enables it. One is project timeline. You go and enable it, and what you get instantly for that project is now project timeline. Now if you click on it, then you have a timeline. You can go and pick all the active ones rather than long list of projects that you may have, and you drag and just left mouse button drag, call this ANY171 projects. Now I'm defining this for one stage, one unit. You can call this the whole length of the trimester. You right click on each line, you define milestones. Now this can be shared with students. You can allocate specific or all students to that milestone. You can have as many milestones as you want. You can customize it. You can add notes to that particular milestone. You can link that milestone to another page if you want. You can link that milestone to even a Google Drive if you want, or a video if you want. So it kind of creates that cascading look. But the cool thing is you can have a secondary layer of information in the same project. Let's say, okay, pre-production, production. Now what we're going to do in production? We're probably going to do in animation, modeling, rigging, animation. Now the third type of layer that we're going to put within this is probably post-production. What we're going to do in post-production, we're going to probably light and render. So it provides additional information. And let's say this goes to all the students, but this may go to only 5 students, which is ideal for studios. Because in studios, we usually group-based, you usually allocate tasks to different, or the project manager allocates tasks to a few students, and that's just, you have one of these pages instead of a Trello page, and they have access to it, they can keep track of it, and Trello can actually, not Trello, Shotgun can actually send them a reminder about the projects. Make sense?
Yep.
Now, I thought it would be a good idea to have another one for task management. Now, the other one was time management. Now, for task management, it's as simple as going to the actual page, you go into task for that project, and you just create a task. Now, that task comes with who to assign, who to review, due date, start date, and what project, and you can add so many things into this through more fields. You can add priority, you can have sort, status, duration, so on and so forth. So what we do in animation department, which is really common, we say, all right, this is a task. It belongs to concept department, or maybe tracking. I just want to track the project. Who's going to do it? Who's going to review it? Unfortunately, I was the only one in the page, so I was assigned to, and I review it as well. And you just put in the time frame. And the cool thing about this, you can create, or you can expand, or you can create dependencies. So if you slide one, the rest will follow and adjust themselves to the timetable. So it's very, very flexible, especially if you miss a class, if you change a due date, you don't need to do anything. You just go and change whatever you want. This is the link that you get when you make a change. And here's a proper page from a production company. I thought I would show you like a full-on version of how it works. This is not me. This is actually a screenshot of a studio doing a real project. So I thought I would just give you guys this to see, for example, what task belongs to, and you've got different departments, different people into different departments. So it does an extremely great job of allocating tasks, and it's very well automated. You just track every time they reach the milestone. As a client, as a producer, as a stakeholder, you just get a notification. I would say if you give them the student access, they can actually set up the page by themselves, and you just monitor once they reach the deadlines or meet the deadlines. You can easily just have a look and take it from there. Now, this is a desktop version. I thought I would show you this because everything was online. In desktop version, what you get is what Tej mentioned. This is really, really genius. As soon as you log in and bring up your project, it looks at your computer and picks up all the software packages that is compatible with Shotgun automatically. So it says, you've got this installed in your computer, use whatever you want. I will create a third-party menu for you in the software right now if you click on them. So I clicked on one, Maya, and what it did, it created Shotgun menu for me. It wasn't there before. Now you can actually do whatever you want, just press publish, and it goes to the page automatically without you doing anything else. You can actually go to Shotgun page, you can go back to, so for example, I create a sphere here. Let's say this is done, masterpiece, beautiful, ready to publish. Go publish, you can just have a thumbnail of that, goes in there, begin file versioning if you want to. If you don't want to, just save your file and just say publish. Publish to Shotgun is enabled. Now all you need to do is to create publish, and that's what you get, or that's what the client gets, because you can assign a task, remember. That's what the client gets, like almost a real-time feedback in, so I go to project and then log in, and I get the update. Yes?
Do you manage to figure out what is the storage limit they give us to this thing? Because it's kind of media heavy, so do you think we have a limit?
I don't know, but I really pushed it through its limits. I wanted to test how fast it is for 4K footage. So one day I sat down and all 4K footage, like the big archive I had, I uploaded.
And
I
it
didn't
went.
get any error. It went
So it's like infinity.
So I wouldn't be surprised. So I don't know the answer to answer. I have to answer your question. I will find out. But I didn't. At least I uploaded 5 terabytes without any problem.
Seriously?
Yeah. I just want to know how fast that is. It was astonishing, like crazy fast.
It's not storing those files though, is it?
No, it's not. It's actually linking and reading. But again, it does take space.
Linking from where? To your local drive?
To your local drive.
So if I use it from another computer that I'm using, I will not be able to access those projects.
Well, you ideally want to use it from server.
So students can't use it
FS1.
at home?
Yes, they can.
They can?
Yes.
Okay.
They still can, they may not be able to upload assets,
Mhm.
but they can certainly publish assets, which is something that students do a lot of time. So they make progress, they get a screenshot of their progress for that particular project, and they upload it for us to review,
Great.
right?
Mhm.
And we do that a lot. Now, if you would like to have access to this file, then you can ask for the actual physical file, but the evidence is there at least.
Mhm.
And then you can assign this to a particular milestone or a project or whatever. And at every move they make, you get a notification. You can actually limit that as well to not to have 2 million emails in one day. Now, if you would like to know more, this is something that I have started already like a month ago, because there's so many things I don't know about this software. Actually, I have it open here. So if you go to playlist, the whole playlist for film and animation, whole playlist for episodic TV series. Now this is really, really useful. Whole playlist for producer training course. And this is something that we often do regardless of the discipline, or it's not about animation, it's not about games, it's about how to handle a project. As a matter of fact, it doesn't talk much about animation pipeline or film pipeline or games pipeline. It talks about how to handle the timing.
These
how
are
to
YouTube
handle-
videos.
These are YouTube videos, and this is YouTube channel, Shotgun Software. And again, quick tips, how to get better mid studios using Shotgun, and again, tons of webinars. They actually received Honorary Pipeline Award in 2014, 2016, and 2018. So it's like an Oscar when it comes to the engineering and stuff. Also, I will share with you another link. It's actually a PDF that I have to Reza here. No, that's not it. Autodesk ebook. So I will share it with you as well if you find it useful. Need to log in later. If you find it useful, then by all means use it. Again, it's not to, it is just, this is something that we are going to use. And I thought to myself, well, this is great. I mean, for students and for us, it's definitely a win-win. So hopefully you'll find a use for it. Sorry, I did all the talking. There was like zero active learning in it. But Rafi and Michael is going to make up for it. And again, count on me for any support. If I can be any help, just drop by, and I'll be more than happy to help out. Do you guys have any questions?
I decided to try it.